It's the Fellowship of the Geeks Show, brought to you through the support of the following: Awesome Comics at GalaxyCollegeDallas.com, SciFiFX.com, and Voodoo Gingerbread Graphics. Music courtesy of FreePlayMusic.com. You can contact the Fellowship at email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. And now, on with the show! Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Fellowship of the Geeks show for the week of July 9th, 2013, and we're off and rolling.
You laughing at me? You laughing at me?
I haven't managed that in a few weeks.
Well, and we weren't on last week, so that kind of helped stretch that out. My name is Thomas Schick, and joining us via Google Hangout is Mike Marlowe, who you already saw.
Hi.
Les Webster.
This just in. Ha-cha-cha. Back to you, Thomas.
He saved that one up.
Unfortunately.
And I was trying to keep that straight face, and I couldn't do it.
And from the website at Galaxy Call Dallas, James Pickering.
Woo.
So, how y'all doing, guys? Did y'all have a good 4th?
It was a long one. Well, I don't know about y'all, but you know, when you're unemployed and everything, and the kids at grandma's, it was a long holiday. Boring.
Les? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It was good for me. The wife celebrated her birthday, and we celebrated an anniversary.
That's right. I forgot about that. Happy belated happy anniversary and belated happy birthday to Gina.
He scared me. He came out saying the wife celebrated a birthday. I'm like, what? She didn't invite you along?
No, she didn't. That was my gift to her. I wasn't around.
Nice.
Here's $100, honey. See you later.
Enjoy yourself.
And Mikey, you were out of town for part of it, weren't you?
We were out of town for part of it, and we also celebrated an anniversary.
That's true. Belated happy anniversary to you, too.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Survived another year. She hasn't killed me yet. Woo.
It's still early.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, James. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
Oh, no. No.
Well said. Well said.
He's not the best color man in baseball for nothing.
Okay. This is going to be fun, I can tell. Should we anybody want to any announcements before we get into tonight's topics?
I just wanted to mention that ran an article in the paper Saturday concerning the sale of the second cover for the Batman The Dark Knight Returns series. That is going up on auction at Heritage Auctions, and they say that it should pull in a few dollars.
I hope they spend those few dollars wisely.
Yes, like picking a chalice.
Okay, anything else before we start in?
Nothing right now. No.
Okay, cool. There was a couple of news items that hit the last couple of weeks that it may be just a coincidence that this happened, just the timing and all that. But it kind of got me wondering. 2 weeks ago, Boom Studios announced that they were acquiring Arcadia, the smaller publisher that puts out Mouse Guard. Um, they did a lot of Jim Henson titles. Uh, I guess it was about 5-10 years ago, less,
Yes.
something like that. Okay. Uh, and Arcade's not going away. It's just going to be imprint for Boom Studios. So it's not really going away. It's just it's going to just have a better. The business side is going to just be handled differently, I guess. No one's really come out and said all the details on that, but excuse me. Last week, Dark Horse announced that they're starting up an imprint called Kitchen Sink, which is a nod to an older publisher that had been around. Primarily the 80s and 90s. Is that right, Wes? I'm not really familiar with all of the books that they had put out. Do you know any off the top of your head?
Kitchen Sink originally started reprints of The Spirit.
Okay.
And then it was taken over by Warren Comics. And that was one of their titles. Other than that, I can't think of anything offhand. But, they did Death Rattle in the 90s, which was a horror comic, various stories, an anthology. Thank you, an anthology of horror stories. And offhand, I can't think of much else.
Okay. But with these two news items happening so close together, it kind of got me wondering if there may be a trend of bigger publishers buying out smaller publishers and making them either imprints or just incorporating them into their own library. Is this? What do you think, guys? Is this just a blip, or is this something that we can see? We might see something more of down the road.
I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened sooner. To me, there's good and bad, pros and cons. You've got these the larger companies, the larger publishers. They've been around a lot longer. They've got a track record. They've got their networks built. They've got their distribution set up. And so they can take these smaller publishers, these smaller imprints, take them in, and they still let them retain creative control while the main company takes them and puts them into the system, probably gets some better deals in distribution, wider access, thus improving sales. And basically they handle the backside of it, all the financials and everything, while, again, they handle, of course, I'm sure they'll hop in and say, well, we'd like some kind of creative control over it a little bit. But for the most part, just let them do what they've been doing. To me, that's a win-win for both of them. But then you also look at the downside of it, whereas that bigger company starts going in and they start buying up more and more and more, and the next thing you know, they've got a monopoly. And they might start culling the herd on their titles, and you start losing a lot of really good titles out there that may not be producing as much revenue, but they're still good titles and shouldn't go by the wayside. Time.
Next.
Yeah, what he said.
Wow.
Well, honestly, for one thing, I'm willing to bet that Boom would love the idea that they're being called a bigger publisher in this deal.
That is true.
What's their market share, like 3% or something?
True, but you see what I'm saying. Boom's been making a lot of news recently, and that's something I was going to bring up here later on. They're obviously making some moves to be a bigger force in the industry.
And I say good for them.
Yeah.
I like a lot of stuff that comes out of Boom. So I think that's great. And honestly, they're in a position where they're trying to compete with two companies which consist of like 68% of the market share. So
Yeah.
something has to give, something has to happen. There has to be some way of increasing their market share just to compete. And if acquisition is the way to do it, great. I mean, if they're happy with the the books coming out of the smaller publisher that they're picking up, awesome, great. We'll be able to, like James said, we'll be able to see them on more shelves now because they have a little more clout behind them.
Les?
Well, you look also back at Dark Horse. Dark Horse took over republishing Warren comics with Creepy, and then the reprints of Creepy and Eerie. As far as I can see, it will probably happen again, but I don't see any of the big three going and finding small publications to bring in again. With Boom taking in Kitchen Sink, is that right?
Arcadia.
Boom took
Oh,
Arcadia.
I'm sorry. Who's taking Kitchen Sink again?
The Dark Horse is starting up Kitchen Sink.
Okay. Well, with that, we're going to probably get some more reprints. I checked online, and of course, Kitchen Sink also gave you Omaha the Cat Dancer, also gave you one of my favorites, Megaton Man by Don Simpson. There'll be some titles that will definitely see the light of day again, which is good. But I don't see anybody reaching out and trying to pick up some of the smaller titles. I know Bongo does business, but I can't see them being swallowed by anybody because they've got a system right now. They've got some titles that are going to continue for quite some time, the way I see it. Simpsons and Futurama being two of them. And of course, the Simpsons Treehouse of Terror every year is a welcome sight on the stands. But I don't see Marvel or DC pulling anybody in again for a while. I think they've already swallowed enough that they can take. They're sainted.
They've also got their capital in the movies right now.
Yeah, they don't have to because they're
the biggest.
Yeah, they're the biggest, and the way they look at things is, if it ain't broken, But
they look at it as if it ain't broken, reboot it. So I have a problem with that.
All right, now don't be bringing your personal politics into this.
Okay. This just in.
So there's no ongoings with Arcade. It's all just like graphic novels and that kind of thing. So there's really no ongoings. I'm not really familiar with any titles outside of Mouse Guard, and I think that's just like.
Isn't Mouse Guard a monthly?
I'm not sure if it is or if it's just a series, a mini-series, or one-shots, or...
Okay, Mouse Guard is a series of stories done in various time frames. They have fall and spring and winter. And
so they do one every once a quarter then.
Basically doing quarterly.
They do it like once a year, but each time is like 6 issues.
Okay, so it is a miniseries. Okay, so there's no ongoing. Okay, all right. I can't. I'm not sure if I don't see an Image doing it because they already have 2 imprints that basically they were built in when they first started. You got Top Cow, which is Mark Silvestri's Studios, and then Skybound, which is Robert Kirkman. So they seem to do it naturally and growing through things instead of just acquiring. I don't know who else would do it. Would IDW maybe? Who knows? I don't see Dynamite doing it because Dynamite does all licensed stuff. They don't really. Well, I mean, unless they want to decide to do like maybe go after the Simpsons license and take over Bongo or something like that. Who knows?
Kind of wonder how much of Fox is behind Bongo.
That's a good point too.
If so, they may not ever wrestle away from it.
Yeah. But it was just interesting, the timing of all of this, that it came down within a couple weeks of each other. It kind of got me wondering if this was going to be if this is a trend, or if this just happened to be,
A busy a busy week for that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of just a bump in the road, and it may not happen again for a while. So I don't know. It was. I thought it was kind of interesting to see. The next one, our next topic. This was also came out last week. Gerry Conway, who created Firestorm and for DC Comics and has written a lot of DC Comics, and more recent years has been doing more writing for Hollywood. I know he did a lot of work on one of the Law and Order series. I'm thinking it was Criminal Intent, but I may be wrong. But he has started up a blog to where people can they can fill out a form, basically to write down creator information regarding certain characters, and can pass it on if those certain characters are used in like TVs or movies or other type of media. Let me pull up the.
Yeah, the whole deal seemed to be that it was attempting to help out creators whose licensed stuff was being used elsewhere.
That's right. That's exactly it.
Almost, in a sense, crowdsourcing the policing of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the sad thing about it, is the fact that the weight of it falls on the creator. The creator is the one that's got to keep track of it, instead of the people who are actually using the characters. Which that's always gotten me. It's, whereas they could have easily said, hey, we use this guy's character, send him a check or something. They say, put it in there and don't worry about it until he calls. Yeah. Some people don't have the time and the ability to track things like that.
Well,
we're a very honorable system.
Yeah,
we're also dealing with creators who are not really, one would assume, are probably not high tech or internet savvy, so they're
may not be active anymore with comics.
Exactly.
That's a good point too. Yeah. That's a very good point.
I mean, my first thought would be, don't these people have agents who are supposed to be doing stuff like that for them? But probably not. Apparently not.
I don't know if there's really any agents for creators. If it is, it's more of a modern thing than dealing with people of Conway's generation of people working on books.
Writers in other media have agents. I mean, that's what made me think of it.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm not. I have not heard of that in the comics industry. But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Well, and think about all the singers in the music industry, from the turn the 50s and 60s and even into the 70s and 80s, who never got paid for their records being played on air, because either stations weren't reporting it or they couldn't track it or something like that. And then you get these people that are falling on hard times in poverty, destitute, and then finding out that they've been owed millions for years.
Yeah.
They can't afford to feed their monkeys anymore.
So, what is? Well, I was going to read the. What was the name of the?
Who do you listen to?
That was a throwback to the conversation we were having before we went on the air.
Oh,
Yeah.
Les.
Yeah. The website is comicsequity.blogspot.co.uk.
Oh, for Pete's sake, spend $10 and get a URL for that thing, a domain name.
It is a domain name. It's just a British domain name.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a blog spot, but
Yeah.
But I applaud him for doing this, and actually he started this up because someone had contacted him mentioning the fact that the TV show Arrow is using a character that he created, Felicity Smoke, which he did not realize. So it's already coming. It's already. That's how this whole ball started
makes sense,
rolling.
really.
Yeah. So he's just asking for the fans to turn around and give the same type of support that he received, and I don't blame him, and I applaud him for trying to help out.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Felicity Smoke is smoking. Sorry.
Alrighty then. And I think we now know what's in James's cup again this week.
Yeah, it's the special liquid.
Actually, it's not, but I got some.
This is not that kind of show, sir.
I'll keep it PG. 13, 14, whatever.
Uh-huh.
We're devolving
So,
again.
huh?
We're devolving again.
As usual. And you like to say something there, Les? You've been quiet on this subject.
I have nothing to say. No, to me, it's up to his agents, and he does have agents, I'm sure, because someone's got to make the papers up to sign, and the agents have to go through that. So they should have, as far as Arrow goes, they should have contacted him and said, "Look, we're thinking of using this character because yes, it is a character owned by DC, yet I think that they should have reached out also and said, look, we want to use Felicity in this TV series, therefore we want your go ahead." And obviously they did not contact him, so he could do that. This just in.
Anyway.
You've been watching all the Cronkite reruns, haven't you, Les?
I'm more of a Walter Winchell guy.
See, I wasn't going to age you that much.
Sorry, I was around at that time.
Walter Winchell, kids. Google it.
Camp Run Amok. Google it.
I have nothing to say to that.
Ooh.
Let's go ahead and get into our game segment then.
Oh, good. Let's have some fun, finally.
Yeah, I know we've been having some boring conversations, so it is time for fill in the blank. Yay!
Woo.
And we start off with James.
No.
Yes.
Um, Fill in the blank. It's
Fill in the blank.
blank
Here we go.
that the Terminator franchise rebooted.
Yes, it's blank that the Terminator franchise is being rebooted. That was something that was announced a couple weeks ago.
We said we're keeping this PG, right?
Yeah.
I plead the fifth. I think it's a shame that it's being rebooted. It's I don't know. To me, it kind of first and second were good. Third, fourth, or whatever. How many did it finally go? 5, 4, 5. I saw the last one on TV the other day. I saw it on the TV. Normally, I can look at a movie on the TV. I can see movies on TV that I've never watched before, but just from watching the scene, I know what movie it is. That movie, I looked at it, I couldn't tell you what the movie was.
Okay.
So that says something about how I feel about the last Terminator. Does it need a reboot? No, there's too much. Personally, I'm getting sick and tired of reboots. There's too much other material out there. Go use it. Go do something with it. Other than that, if you want to, the Terminator universe is huge. Why reboot it? Just do something else in that universe. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that blank that much bigger.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Less
is more.
We hadn't heard that in a while.
Can I write that down? Use that? Personally, I have to agree with James. I'm not sure that I want to see another Terminator movie. I think the backlash is going to be so big that people are going to say, that's nothing like the original. And once again, I will have to go to them and say, it's someone's interpretation. Live with it.
It's not true to the source.
Yes, it's not infamous canon. So I'm not real thrilled about it. I think there were 5 movies plus a TV series, and I think that's enough. I don't need to see any more than that. Then obviously they're going to turn around, they're going to make the toys, they're going to do a comic book series, I'm sure. So, unfortunately, I'm already flooded with it. I don't need more people shouting, I'll be back, again and again.
What's so funny, Mikey?
I don't know, James, say something.
I didn't say nothing. Am I muted? Hello?
Oh, God.
What?
Alrighty, Mikey, your thoughts on this?
Ultimately, I don't have a problem with them rebooting it. That alone doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
The idea that they plan on bringing Arnie back for a reboot bothers me, because that's not really a reboot at that point. You're still fooling around with the same concepts, and you're not really rebooting it. You're just sort of remaking it, and that's
a rehash.
Cool.
Well, they could bring him back as Terminator Prime.
Well, something I read somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
Except that Terminator Prime is like 65 years old. That's a little bit ludicrous.
Where's the can of oil?
Something I read somewhere made it sound like they might bring him back as like the creator of the Terminator robots.
Or where they got the idea to use that form, the body type.
Right.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
Model.
Some egotistical general there in the future decided to use his body type for the template.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they could have just. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I think it's a little bit ludicrous. I mean, if you're gonna reboot it, and don't be bringing people back. I mean, this is sort of one of the problems I had with the Star Trek reboot. Honestly, I mean, as happy as I was to see Leonard Nimoy on the screen again, I still don't think it made sense.
You cried too? I cried. I did.
Tears of joy or tears of sorrow or tears of pain or what?
I was happy to see him.
Okay. You know, Mike and I have had discussions about the Terminator franchise in the past, and I quite honestly wish they had not gone beyond the second one. I think the way the second movie ended, with it just being open, anything can happen, whether good or bad. That was the perfect way to end it, and we could have just moved on. You know, with the third one, they said, well, you know what? Everything that was done in the first two movies, well, for nothing. So let's just go ahead and it was going to happen anyway. So, you know, all that sacrifice was in vain. And then the fourth one, what was it? Salvation? I haven't even seen that one. And I mean, if someone said there was a fifth one, I wasn't aware of that. But a reboot, you know, I'm tired of reboots on one hand, depending on what it is. This, I don't care. They think they can get some more mileage out of this franchise, and that's what they're going to do. I don't care. I don't care. You know, I may go see the movie. I may not go see the movie. You know. That's my feelings on it. You know, I thought everything had been pretty much said in the first two films. You mentioned, Mike, about something about Arnie being involved, and that he would be like the prototype or something like he would be the guy. I also read somewhere something about them the storyline being the Terminator sent in the past to go after Sarah Connor's parents. That way Sarah's never born. That way John's never born. I'm like, seriously?
That's kind of beating a dead horse.
You know, okay, whatever. That seems. Why don't you go to the grandparents, or why don't you go back to the beginning of time and make sure that man never evolves or whatever?
Yeah. Why don't you go deliver it down to Adam and Eve, you know, and then hey, the whole problem solved.
Depending on your beliefs, whether it's Adam and Eve or Cro-Magnon or whatever, you know, just destroy mankind back then, and then there's no problem. But
but you wouldn't be there to destroy them. Just like if you destroyed Sarah Connor's parents, then there would be no Skynet to begin with. Right?
But I'm just saying, it's at what point are we? You know, it was one thing for the first film to be, okay, you kill Sarah Connor because she is the mother. Okay, I understand that. Then the second one's go after John himself, which you figure that would have been the first thing they would do, but okay. So they got to do something different, because they don't want to exactly copy themselves. That they want to do something like this, and I'm like, well, where does that lead then? Do you want to go after Sarah Connor's grandparents, great grandparents? You know, just, you know.
Or you go back and you kill Superman because John Connor was on that bus when he picked it up out of the lake.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just go back and kill James Cameron.
Aha!
Ooh.
That would be very meta, wouldn't it?
And then we wouldn't have to worry about that Avatar 2 that's going to come out.
That would make a lot of people happy if there was not an Avatar 2.
I just saw some concept artwork. I swear it looks like he's riding one of the speeder bikes from Endor. Like, come on, you got better concept artists than that?
Oh, well, I'm not surprised how many people are saying that he ripped off ideas from other people for the first one. Who was some of the names they were mentioning? I know some just said some of the albums. It was either Asia or Yes album covers.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can see that.
I don't remember which ones it is right now off the top of my head, but
as long as he doesn't rip off Captain N to Neil.
I have to admit that Daryl Dragon was a sharp dresser.
Because the movie script in Les's drawer is completely based around Muskrat Love, so...
Which explains a lot.
Kudos to you, Mike, that you actually knew that was a song that they did. I am impressed, sir.
I think Les is getting ready to moon me. I'm not.
I don't know if it's just you there, Mike. There may be more involved in that mooning.
Prepare to drop shields.
As far as the Terminator reboot, the listing on IMDb is Terminator 5. And who knows, they could bring Arnold in as the mayor or whatever, just in a cameo spot, not as a major role of it. So if he shows up, big deal. It's like Charlton Heston in the remake of Planet of the Apes.
He's going to play Stan Lee. I just know it. Or Alfred.
Yeah, all he has. Yeah, he'll just. There's just be one scene where he just walks in and goes "Excelsior" and leaves.
Who knows? He can play Hercules again.
Are they going to dub him this time, like they did the first time?
I don't know.
Which is a trip. Have y'all guys seen that film, Hercules in New York?
No.
Oh yeah.
It's his first film, and they dubbed him.
Yeah.
They had to.
Because of his accent.
Oh, it was horrible.
Probably before he was speaking English at all. So
He was, he was only 19, 20, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh. Alrighty. Next item up for bid. Gonna go with Mikey. NBCUniversal and digital publisher Lionforge Comics teaming up to do comics based off 80s and 90s TV shows is...
fair game. I mean, why not? You know, I've seen worse ideas out there for comic books than established TV shows, even if they are 30 years old. So why not? They think they can sell books. Go for it.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see because some of the titles that are being mentioned are Knight Rider, Airwolf,
Okay.
Miami Vice, Punky Brewster, Saved by the Bell.
Oh.
I'm not saying I'm going to buy them. I'm just saying if they think people will buy them, then more power to them.
Well, the only ones of those I could think that could be worked into a viable comic, Miami Vice, Airwolf probably, and maybe Knight Rider.
Well, I could see the other two going towards the kids' route.
Yeah, you go to a younger audience. It's different as
could.
Some of the other stuff.
Yeah, they could.
I think it's feasible. I think they could do this, and hopefully they'll take the hint that they need to do other series. Who was it? Innovation years ago did Lost in Space, and did Quantum Leap comic books. So the way I see it, a show like The Pretender could do well. The idea of a man that is a jack of all trades and ace of none would be able to fill a comic book each month, and each month is a standalone. James is right. The Punky Brewster and the other one I can't recall.
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell. Okay, now is Saved by the Bell the college years or is it the high school?
True.
More than likely, it's going to be the highest. More than likely, be the high school because I don't. It seems like if people even think about that show, they think about the high school episodes. They don't really think about the college.
Well, that's something you have to ask.
Huh?
That is something you have to ask. Is it pre-Screech sex tape or post-Screech sex tape?
You could pull a Batman family type thing and have multiple titles and
That's true.
franchise the sucker out. You have the high school one, you have the college one, you have the post-sex tape one. You just go nuts with it.
I want to thank you guys for including that. I think that's really relevant. Good
Les is about to hang up on us.
Well,
we go home.
well, since we went there, we might as well we got to remember pre and post showgirls too.
There is that.
That's right. Yep.
Which is almost a sex tape in and of itself.
Mm.
Though it's Red Shoes Diaries late night Showtime or Cinemax or whatever it was on.
And if we can get out of the ditch and back on the road. I agree with Thomas that maybe Airwolf could be a viable. I don't see Knight Rider because I'm sorry, but it failed dismally on its reboot on television. So I can't see it coming back.
That's just because it didn't have the Hoff.
That's right. The drunken cheeseburger eating Hoff.
Well, just because it wasn't successful on TV the second time doesn't mean it wouldn't be a viable comic, especially when it's a digital comic.
Yeah.
Okay, would you bring back something like My Two Dads? Would you bring back BJ and the Bear?
That's got a monkey in it.
Yeah, well, but Lobo didn't, and it was horrible.
True.
Yeah, so Monkey would probably be a drawing point for most of the shows.
But all right, so here's a good question. Out of the ones that are not named, or one that you can think of off the top of your head, what would be one that you would actually like to see in a comic book form?
From the 80s or 90s?
Mm-hmm.
I have to go with The Pretender. I thought it was a great TV show, and they did not do it justice, even by TNT. Turner didn't do it justice by saying that we were going to have a closing to the story, which never appeared.
Mm-hmm.
They had 2 TV movies, but it still didn't define exactly what was going to happen and how it was going to end.
He's just bitter.
Plus, it had Miss Parker on it, who, to me, would have been a much better choice for the Avengers than Uma Thurman. But I digress.
T.J. Hooker.
No, she didn't play that. No.
No, actually, mine is a sci-fi title that it ranks right up there. It was on Fox, the same network that shut down Firefly, Space Above and Beyond.
Yeah.
Very short-lived show, but it was a great show. A lot of action. Space Marines that are way better than the Starship Troopers. Fiasco that came out. Though I still watch it because it's kind of fun to watch. But
it's a spectacle.
Huh?
There were 3 of those, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be even more fun. There's going to be even more fun here in a few more weeks when Cinema Titanic's going to do it.
Which one is that?
Starship Troopers.
Oh, for Rift Tracks?
For Cinema Titanic. It's going to be one of the Phantom events back in here next month.
Yeah, that's Rift Tracks. That's the guys from Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rift Tracks is a little different, but I mean, this is going to be the Phantom events thing. So, anyway, well, if you want to talk about sci-fi shows, how come Babylon 5 was Babylon 5 ever a comic?
Well, it has been, hasn't it?
Okay, I don't. There was like 3 or 4 Stargate shows. Was there even a comic? There might have been, but
Didn't last long if there was.
There's a big fan base there. Well, maybe I don't know how big it is now, but
It was
It
pretty
it
popular.
it
when
was well. It's popular
on
for it
years
to
ago.
have three or four different series, but I mean, I don't know how it is now, but
There was a Babylon 5 graphic novel, but I don't know if there was actual series.
yeah. So, well, definitely Stargate would be an option since it was done by Universal.
There were also some graphic novels put out for Stargate too.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I stand corrected. I wasn't sure. I hadn't seen it. It doesn't mean that they weren't done. The Farscape. Boom did Farscape.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, Avatar Press and Dynamite Entertainment got a hold of them a couple of times. Um, well, and then not even getting into, or not necessarily hardcore sci-fi, but well, they've done them. In fact, I was kind of surprised. As of late, you had a couple of the Joss Whedon, J.J. Abrams TV shows going to print, and that was Dollhouse, Fringe, X Files has been on there, and X Files is getting rebooted, or I don't know if it's a reboot. But X Files is getting ready to be put out.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
second.
it's supposed to be like the next season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, the second issue is supposed to be coming out here next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Dollhouse. Now, Dark Horse has done a one shot, but I'm not. I don't remember right now if it was supposed to tie things up from the series, but obviously they didn't go any further than that. Fringe. I know DC did a digital comic last year, something like that. I don't think it was ever collected, but that's as far as it went there. So, I don't know. So, well, that's it for this week's game. Before we start trying to wrap things up, is there any news items that anyone wanted to cover? I've got a couple that just happened within the last few hours or so, but does anybody have anything?
I was just kind of looking through one of the tickers for one of the pages that we just talked about, and they're saying that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen's headed to television.
That was going to be one of them I was going to mention.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean
No
to
problem.
do that.
No, that's not a problem.
And then it was interesting to see that Stephen Amell, whatever his name is, that does Arrow, is actually wanting to be in the Justice League movie, which I wouldn't mind seeing that. I like him as that character.
Yeah. Going back to the League, Fox is committed to a pilot. That's all they committed to.
Mm-hmm.
And that let me get his name right now. He was the showrunner for Heroes. It's supposed to serve as writer, executive producer, and showrunner for. They're calling him showrunner, but they've only committed to a pilot. Let me get the name here real quick. Michael Green.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. That's just popped up within the last few hours. We talked about the things that Boom's been doing a lot recently. They've been making a lot of news. Yesterday, or late yesterday, it was announced that they have signed George Perez to exclusive contract. So they have George Perez there, and he's promised to do a creator-owned book. He may do some stuff for some of the other titles. What it's going to be, he didn't announce. He was asked about Crimson Plague. He said he's not interested in doing that right now, but who knows? But the one that he's wanting to do right now, he's wanting to get several issues in the can before they do a release date, which is a good. I think that's a smart thing to do. So I think that's, huh?
It's a big win for Boom.
That's a big win for Boom, and I'm happy for George because it doesn't sound like things were going all that well with DC. He's been on the record pretty much of how things were going when he was writing and drawing, or doing breakdowns for the Superman title, and some of the issues he was having, not only with editorial but being kind of restricted because. Everything was having to go through. Grant Morrison was doing action, so everything, whatever Grant was doing, everything else had to kind of mesh up with. So if there was something that George wanted to do, well, you can't do that. But
It's getting heavily edited.
yeah, it sounds pretty sad, but I'm happy for George. I'm definitely happy for Boom. This is another exclusive creator after Paul Jenkins joining there, so things are really, really looking good for them, and I'm happy because I've had good dealings with them, and they're putting out some good books, so I'm extremely happy for them. I have one more thing, but did anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I kind of got one.
Okay,
and I don't know how new this is, but it's something I just found out about today. Are you guys familiar with a movie called Forbidden Zone?
Woohoo! Oh yeah.
Well, apparently, for some little time, just for any audience members that aren't sure, this is a movie that came out about 30 years ago, and a short description was it was made sort of as a vehicle for this band Oingo Boingo. It was made by Rick Elfman, and Danny Elfman is in it, and Hervé Villechaize is in it. And if you haven't seen it, check it out because it's possibly the weirdest movie you will ever watch.
Oh, yes.
It is really cool.
And for also to point out real quick, the people that don't know or recognize the name Danny Elfman and the band Oingo Boingo, that was his original band, but Danny Elfman's the man who has given us pretty much every Tim Burton theme there is, including the Simpsons theme song and the Batman movie theme songs. Just an amazing, amazing talent.
Yeah, very much. But apparently, Rick Elfman is trying to make a sequel. He's working on Forbidden Zone 2 now. There was what I saw online had a little bit of what the story was going to be, but it didn't really say anything about shooting or anything like that. So who knows how legit it really is, but the idea of a Forbidden Zone 2 I just thought was fun.
Okay, we need to get a Kickstarter going.
Seriously.
I've got $10.
Against his will if we have to.
Against his will, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely one of those movies where the entire time I got it on Netflix DVD, and the entire time I was watching it, my wife was going back and forth from the TV to me, to the TV to me, all the while going, WTF.
What the hell is wrong with you? Why are you watching this? This is insane.
You know, there's gratuitous boobies, hideous editing, a plot in there somewhere. I'm not really exactly sure where. But it's definitely a creation to behold.
It is a wild, wild ride.
And Danny Elfman as the devil singing and dancing. That's.
I have seen the movie too. I actually borrowed Les's copy. He let me borrow it to watch it.
What? You've got a copy?
He was conspicuously quiet through that. I don't think he wanted us to know he knew about it.
Are you kidding? This is the guy who went out and bought the copy of the sequel of The Lost Skeleton of Cadabra. And it was called what again?
The Return of the Lost Skeleton of Cadabra.
Returns.
Something weird. I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you for sure. But it was quite funny.
Hopefully they put just as much time into shooting it as they did writing that title.
I'm sure they did.
The Return of the Lost Skeleton of Cadabra Strikes Again. That's what it was.
Okay.
Again.
Again.
That's good.
I do have a question. What is the word, and maybe you've posted it, I'm sorry that I haven't
Grease.
seen it.
Grease.
Grease is the word.
I could have noticed
I
again.
was thinking the bird is the word, but
Well, that too, bird. Or bird grease.
No.
Bird
What
grease.
is the latest on the Conan Gru crossover?
Hadn't heard anything.
If you recall, they were going to have the artist for Conan do his part, and they were going to have Sergio do Gru in a story. And I was just wondering if that ever came about, because that was going to cross over who.
They originally announced that to come out of April of last year. Then it was going to be summer of last year, and that's been the last of it.
so
I still wait to see it, because that would, to me, would be fun to read.
At this point, I'm thinking it's something that it's going to be years, if ever, because obviously it's not happening now.
Well,
But I want it now by Crom.
there's a Gru versus Conan #1 of 4 on the Comixology page. Says it's the preview catalog for July of this year.
Well, July, that means it would be for October. When we hadn't received October stuff yet, so maybe it's coming out in October. Who knows?
Let's hope.
So.
It's, the only other word on it is from January. So
my final little news item that I just found out about earlier this evening. Apparently, a British artist created a sculpture, papier-mâché sculpture, and named it Paperboy. And it's come to find out that the comic books that he used to make it are worth nearly $30,000,
yeah.
including the first issue of the Avengers.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah.
And when told, his response was, "To be honest, I'm shocked, but money has not got such a value to me. I think it's funny. I really love the idea of me creating something out of such expensive things that's worth less. I think it's brilliant."
There's a herd of fanboys going to beat him down in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be somebody that's going to pay him $60,000 for the statue.
Unfortunately, you're probably right.
You're probably right, but if you look at it, it's a piece of crap.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's got that famous comic book in it to start.
Well,
So
it's famous. It's famous now, and there's a story behind it. So yeah. So this schmuck's gonna
value to it.
Yeah, the schmuck's gonna walk off with a ton of money, and of course, but it's not about the money, but it's about doing the art.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Then he'll be happy to just give it away.
Yeah, donate it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Oh, speaking about that, I saw this earlier this evening, and I've already seen some responses on this. The latest episode of whether or not there's going to be a Dumb and Dumber sequel supposedly will start shooting in September, to which some of the responses I was reading, is Jim Carrey going to distance himself from this movie and regarding the stupidity of the film? You go on Twitter and go, "I cannot support this film because of the stupidity that's involved in it."
Stupidity's not a laughing matter.
It's not a laughing matter. So, when I read that he was going to do this may happen, because this has been off and on for years. So I'm not holding I'm not holding my breath on this. Not that I would anyway. I didn't like the first one, much less try to watch any other spin-offs of it. But when I saw that this is supposedly going to start filming, that was the first thing that popped in my head, was a joke like that. And believe me, obviously, I was not the first one, and there were several that were making that kind of comments. So I loved it. I love reading every comment of it, those along those lines. So, anything else?
I put in the comment section the link to Rift Tracks, so y'all can, when you go there, they give you like you can go and see some of the clips from the other movies and stuff that they do. They've got Doctor Who and the Daleks that they do, and then they've also got their Avengers riffs up too. Freaking hilarious, especially the Doctor Who one.
What?
The Rift Tracks, they're the guys from Mr. Science Theater.
James, he's trying to rally.
Conked. He muted it.
Score! And he's gone.
What the heck?
Jerks!
Hey, at least you didn't moon us. That's how I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Yes, if I had to get up and go, I have to remember to put the screen up because, you're getting the good side. I'm at home.
He's not wearing any pants.
Film at 11.
Oh, no, we can do it right now.
No.
Speaking about mooning, I don't know if y'all heard this, but I caught this on. It must have been pardon the interruption, apparently, but 2 days in a row during the Tour de France, someone out in the crowd was mooning. Yesterday, they apparently mooned one of the bicyclists, and then today they moon the NBC cameras. So. I'm like, okay.
I told him we already had one.
So,
What? Can we have a look?
yeah, call it 3 cheeks.
Good night, Gracie.
Anything else before we shut it down for tonight?
Now that we've devolved into Monty Python quotes, it's probably time to put this thing to bed.
You make that sound like that's a bad thing.
One last thing. Friday morning, sorry, Mike. Studio Movie Grill, Spring Valley, Pacific Rim. The movie starts at 11 a.m. sharp. We'll be there at the bar at 10:45. Raspberry mojitos made by Crystal. And yes, I do drink that early.
Even earlier.
I'm just continuing, so there's no hurry.
I never stopped.
No, I'm not gonna go there.
See? There he goes.
Yeah.
Glub.
Show giving.
So, Les, are you going to be with us next week? Because next week is
Yes, I
San
believe
Diego.
so. I believe I fly out Wednesday, so as far as I know, I will be there. If not, I will let you know.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. I'm going off to San Diego for Comic-Con. You know what? The entire time you're there, I'm not talking to you, man.
That's fine. He's probably not talking to you either.
James, I'll give you a call. Remember, it's 2 hours difference.
I'm not
He's going to be
answering.
don't knock him. He's going to be our cub reporter on the scene for Comic-Con.
Have you seen him? He's no cub.
This just in.
See, he's warming up his journalistic chops as we
He still does his news reports like this. Hello.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America and all ships at sea.
Wow.
And that's the way it was.
Do-ga-do. As someone makes a comment of something that you posted or whatever you made a comment on. So.
Oh my God.
Alrighty. Well, that's what that sound is. So with that, we will say goodnight. Hope everybody has a good week, and we will see you next time. Until then,
Adios.
good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Later.